Working with multiple layers. When I have multiple layers, there are many things that I can do, and if the layers are masked or not, it really does not make a difference. So I can select more than one layer on the layers panel to allow for multiple layers to behave as one. It's sort of analogous to the grouping of objects as you would do in another software program. So in order to select these layers, I need to have them active or click on them in the layers panel. I want to give you a shortcut that you may not be aware of when selecting objects in your Photoshop document. When you have the Move tool active, which is the shortcut key is V, the options bar up here obviously indicates the Move tool. The first option here, Auto Select, if you do not have that checked, you can certainly click it. When you have that selected, whatever's underneath the cursor will then be activated in that specific layer. So depending on where I click, it's going to select the specific layer that those pixels are on. Of course, you have to think of stacking because that does influence what's going to be selected. So I can quickly select some of these. If I want to have my 3 run texts be active, I can hold down the Shift key. So I have one selected. I can hold the Shift key down and click on the ending layer, and all of the layers in between will be selected. So by holding down the Shift, you're selecting the contiguous layers or the layers that are right next to one another. So if I did not want that, I'm just going to click on another one. I can hold down my Command or my Control key and click non-continuous layers. So whether it be continuous or non-continuous, Shift, continuous, Control or Command for non-continuous. Make sure that if you're selecting a layer in the type layer, you're clicking right where the name is. If it's an image layer, you want to make sure that you are not clicking on the thumbnail itself. Or if there's a mask, you're not clicking on the mask, that you're clicking on the layer right over here. Okay? Now if there's something that I want not selected, I can unselect it with the Command or the Control. So if I want all of these selected here, now what I need to do is link the layers. Make sure that you have the layers you want. Down at the bottom of the panel here, we have a little chain icon that will link. So now you see the link icon on the specific layer. If I click on another layer that's not part of that link, I will not see it. If I click on any of the layers that are participating in that link, I will see that link icon. And you see that my bounding box here goes around the entire selection from those layers. So if I use my Move tool, they act as though they are together. Okay? So that's the benefit of using linked layers. Again, it's really the same as one would group objects in a different program. While I have my linked layers active, I can do some really unique things with them. I can group these also if I want. So you can create what's called a group layer or a layer set by having everything selected again. And I can either use my layer set icon down at the bottom, or I can go up to my layer menu and I can select group layers, Control G. You'll get a layer group, or otherwise known as a layer set, and that's where all of my objects will be in. So whatever way you do that, notice that these are still linked. So I have linked layers inside of a group, which again, another organizational tool. I'll leave the group there, and I can rename this by just doing a double click on it, and I can write, this is my typography, so I can write that here. Okay, so onto these layers that are linked. What can I do with them? Well, notice that when you have the Move tool active, you have some other features up here. So we had the auto select that we just mentioned. We have show transform controls, which allows me to see this bounding box with the controls around it. Then I have some aligns and distributes here. So these are ways that I can align my content. and a lot of different options. And then we have distribute, and distribute is a way that we can evenly space out our objects. So there are 12 align and distribute buttons up here on the options bar. Again, I only see this when my move tool is active. So let's start with a simple alignment. What if I want to align these to the left? Easy as that. So while these layers are linked, they're going to act together, and I'm able to align them. So I get some really clean alignments, really clean designs. I'll undo that and just show you some of these others so I can align them with the center, even though they're all the exact same. I can do it on the bottom. So it's aligning on that horizontal line, the baselines basically. So there's a lot of options there. Now the distribute, like I mentioned, evenly spaces the elements or the pieces, the components. Now note, this does not have to just be with typography. You can do this with images that are on image layers. So it can be useful in many different ways. So the distribute, if I want to distribute them from their top edges, from the bottom edges, or if I want to distribute them in the horizontal centers, I can do all of that. I'm going to choose to select just one here. Now if I want to move it, they're all going to move together. So we're going to unlink this one, unlink. I'm going to use my shift and down arrow. And let's just say I have it positioned something like this. Now let's go ahead and relink this together. So I'm going to control click this, use my link icon. So now they're all part of that linking group. And I'm going to distribute. This time I'm going to distribute them from their vertical centers. Okay, so now they're evenly spaced along the vertical axes. And now if I want to do the same with the horizontal, distribute the horizontal centers. What happens here is now they're equally spaced. So this one, then this one, and then this one. If I didn't want that, I could just simply line them up and we're good to go. So distribute evenly spaced. So the spaces between those objects are even. The align, of course, left alignment, center alignment, right alignment that we're all very familiar with. And remember, they have to be linked. One other demonstration utilizing the distribute and the align. So I have created 2 green boxes. I'm going to create just one more, and an easy way to make a duplication is to take your layer and drag it over top of the new layer icon. You'll get a copy, and so then I need to rename it. And always a good idea to name your layers descriptively so you know what's going on. And of course it lands right on top. So we'll have something like this for an arrangement. Now if I were to select all of these, remember I can hold down my shift key or control click layers here. When I have them selected, I'm going to go ahead and do distribute. So if I want to distribute these across their vertical centers, so that means that this center, the center of this box, and the center of this box are equally spaced. If I wanted to do it in a different axes, we'll go with, so now they're equally spaced according to their centers vertically. So the horizontal and vertical, a little bit confusing. Now you might really see it once I make these be arranged in a row. So now you can see that the space between these are all equal because of my distribute, and my alignment put them all in a clean bottom aligned arrangement. So utilize those align and distributes, save yourself time. You don't have to count pixels, you don't have to try to have guides from your rulers. It's just a simple, fast way. And it will always go from the leftmost side of your leftmost object to the rightmost side of your rightmost object. So think about that also as you distribute.